Imagine walking into the grocery store tomorrow, expecting to grab a few essentials, only to find empty shelves, rationing signs, and price tags that make your stomach drop. What if I told you that February is set to bring some of the worst food shortages and price hikes we have ever seen? This is not speculation. This is happening. Supply chains are tightening, production is slowing, and key staples are disappearing faster than most people realize. And by the time the average person notices, it will already be too late. Most people have no idea this is coming. But today, I am giving you the information that has been buried in industry reports, supplier briefings, and government data that never makes it to mainstream news. Over the past few weeks, I have spoken to grocery store managers, supply chain analysts, and even insiders in the food distribution industry. What they told me is alarming, and it all points to one thing. If you do not start preparing now, you could find yourself paying double, or not finding these items at all within just a few months. And here is the kicker. One of the items on this list has already spiked in price by 65% in certain regions, and major retailers have begun limiting how much customers can buy. Think you are stocked up? Think again. Even people who prepared last year are going to be caught off guard by what is coming. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I am going to break down the 8 essential grocery items you need to hoard before February chaos hits. And trust me, you will want to hear what is happening with item number 7. It is vanishing so quickly that even bulk suppliers are running out. If you miss this one, you might not see it on shelves again for months. Before we dive in, let me ask you this. When was the last time you checked the price of canned pumpkin? If you think it is just a seasonal staple, think again. What I am about to reveal might just change how you shop this winter. Picture this. It is the middle of winter, grocery store shelves are looking emptier by the day, and fresh produce? Practically non-existent. Now imagine having a powerhouse ingredient in your pantry that is packed with vitamins, long-lasting, and versatile enough to use in dozens of meals. Enter canned pumpkin, one of the most overlooked but most essential pantry staples you need before January hits. Here is why this is such a game changer. According to the USDA, pumpkin production has dropped by 32% due to extreme weather conditions in key growing regions. That means shortages and price hikes are coming fast. Last year, canned pumpkin prices shot up by 45% in some areas, and this winter, experts warn it could be even worse. But this is not just about seasonal baking. Canned pumpkin is a nutritional powerhouse, packed with fiber, vitamin A, and potassium, making it a critical survival food when fresh produce is unavailable. In an emergency, your body needs nutrient-dense foods that support immune function, digestion, and energy levels. And pumpkin delivers all that in a shelf-stable, easy-to-store form. And get this, most people do not realize how versatile it is. Sure, you can make pies, but it is also an incredible base for soups, stews, pancakes, smoothies, and even dog food if you have pets. Plus, it works as a natural egg substitute in baking, which could be a lifesaver if eggs become scarce again like they did in early 2023. Here is what you need to do. Buy now before the holiday rush wipes out supplies. Every year, stores run out of canned pumpkin weeks before Thanksgiving, and once that happens, restocks are slow. If you see a sale, grab a few extra cans, not just for baking, but for nutritional insurance when fresh produce becomes harder to find. And speaking of overlooked essentials, wait until you hear what is happening with buckwheat, because this ancient grain might just become one of the most valuable foods in your stockpile. Now let's talk about a nutritional powerhouse that's quietly vanishing from store shelves faster than most grains. It's packed with protein, fiber, and essential minerals. But here's the problem. It's becoming harder to find every single month. Now, you might not eat buckwheat every day, but guess who does? Major gluten-free food manufacturers. And right now, they're scrambling for supply. Buckwheat is a staple in alternative flours, pasta, and cereal production. And when these manufacturers struggle to get it, that shortage trickles down to your local grocery store. And here's where things get serious. Global buckwheat production dropped by 25% this year. Why? Because top exporters Russia and Ukraine, which supply over half the world's buckwheat, have slashed shipments due to ongoing geopolitical instability. That means less buckwheat on shelves, rising prices, and empty bulk bins at your favorite health food store. But don't panic. There are workarounds. If you can't find buckwheat, grab quinoa or amaranth. They offer similar nutritional benefits and are still available at reasonable prices for now. But just like buckwheat, their availability is shrinking, and by January, they might not be so easy to find. If you see buckwheat on sale, stock up now, because once the big food manufacturers buy up what's left, it won't be sitting on shelves for long. Think the pasta shortages we saw last year were bad? This one might be even worse. You might not think much about couscous now, but give it a few weeks, and you might be struggling to find it on store shelves. Just last week, I checked 5 grocery stores, and couscous prices were already marked up by 40%. One store employee told me, "We can't keep it in stock." The shipments come in, and within a few hours, they're gone. That's a huge red flag that demand is spiking while supply is shrinking fast, and it's only going to get worse. Here's what's really going on. Droughts in North Africa, the main region where couscous wheat is grown, have slashed production by nearly half. That means lower supply, higher prices, and full-blown shortages expected by early January. And let's not forget, when a staple like couscous disappears, it creates a domino effect. People will start grabbing similar grains, and that's where things get even more unpredictable. So what's the smart move? If couscous is disappearing, grab orzo or bulgur instead. They cook just as fast, store just as well, and are still available at reasonable prices for now. But here's what most people don't realize. Once couscous supply dries up completely, those alternatives will be the next ones to skyrocket in price. Think about it. When pasta shortages hit last year, people scrambled for substitutes. That's exactly what's about to happen with couscous. The question is, will you be ahead of the rush, or will you be stuck paying triple the price? Don't wait until this turns into another panic-buying nightmare. Stock up now, and when others are scrambling, you'll already have a versatile, easy-to-cook, and long-lasting staple ready to go in your pantry. If you thought couscous shortages were bad, wait until you hear what's happening with canned sardines. This isn't just about price hikes. Supply is actively disappearing, and once they are gone, they may not be coming back anytime soon. Just last month, Portugal, the world's second-largest exporter of canned sardines, announced major fishing restrictions due to dangerously low sardine populations. And it's not just them. The European Commission has already slashed sardine fishing quotas by 40% for 2025, citing overfishing and rising ocean temperatures as key reasons. But here's the part most people aren't hearing about. California's Pacific sardine fishery has been shut down for 5 years straight, with no sign of reopening. No AA Fisheries officially classified Pacific sardines as overfished, meaning that year after year we are seeing fewer and fewer of them in circulation. Why does this matter? Because sardines aren't just another canned protein. They are one of the most nutrient-dense, shelf-stable proteins you can buy. Packed with omega-3 fatty acids, calcium, and vitamin D, sardines are one of the few non-dairy sources of vital bone-strengthening nutrients that people need when food supplies tighten. And while fresh meat prices are soaring, more people are turning to canned sardines as a high-protein, long-lasting alternative. The result? The global market for canned sardines has surged by 8% year over year, while supply has plummeted. Experts are already warning that prices will rise another 20% by mid-2025, and once quotas tighten further, availability could shrink even more. If you see canned sardines at a reasonable price, now is the time to stock up. But if you can't find them, don't panic. There are alternatives. Canned herring, mackerel, and anchovies offer similar nutritional benefits and haven't been hit by major quota cuts yet. However, as sardine supplies dry up, expect demand for these alternatives to rise just as quickly. The bottom line? Canned sardines are no longer just a cheap pantry staple. They are turning into an endangered resource. If you don't secure your stock now, there's a good chance they won't be available, or at least not at today's prices by the time spring rolls around. But as bad as this sounds, there's an even bigger crisis brewing with another overlooked staple. Stay with me, because what's happening with item number 5 could be even worse. If you've been keeping up so far, you already know that grocery store shelves are emptying faster than ever. But what if I told you that one of the cheapest, most overlooked pantry staples is quietly disappearing, and hardly anyone is talking about it? While everyone is focused on meat and dairy inflation, A silent crisis is unfolding in the seafood aisle, and by the time most people realize it, it'll be too late to stock up. I'm talking about canned sardines, a survival food that's about to become a luxury item. Just last month, Portugal, the world's second largest exporter of canned sardines, announced major fishing restrictions due to critically low sardine populations. And that's just the start. The European Commission has already slashed sardine fishing quotas by 40% for 2025, citing overfishing and warming waters as key reasons. Meanwhile, in the U.S., California's Pacific sardine fishery has been shut down for 5 years straight, with no sign of reopening. NOAA Fisheries has officially classified Pacific sardines as overfished, meaning that every year fewer and fewer of them make it to store shelves. But here's the real kicker. While supply is shrinking, demand is exploding. More people are realizing that sardines aren't just another canned fish. They're one of the most nutrient-dense, shelf-stable proteins available, packed with omega-3 fatty acids, calcium, and vitamin D. Nutrients that are hard to replace if food shortages get worse. That's why sardine prices have already jumped by 15% this year, and experts predict another 20% spike by mid-2025. If you've ever thought about adding sardines to your stockpile, now is the time. But here's what most people don't realize. Once sardines are gone, they're not coming back anytime soon. If overfishing continues at this rate, we could be looking at a future where sardines are as scarce as wild salmon and only available at sky-high prices. So, what's the move? If you see canned sardines at a decent price, grab them now before stores start limiting purchases. And if they've already disappeared from your local shelves, don't panic. There are still alternatives. Canned herring, mackerel, and anchovies offer similar nutritional benefits and haven't been hit with quota cuts yet. But as sardines vanish, those alternatives won't stay cheap for long. Think about it. Every time a food shortage hits, people scramble for substitutes, driving up demand and prices even further. The question is, will you be ahead of the curve, or will you be stuck paying triple the price when the rush begins? And if you think this is bad, just wait. Because item number 5 isn't just in short supply, it's about to be wiped off the shelves completely. And if you thought protein shortages were bad, just wait until you hear what's happening with essential pantry staples beyond meat and fish. It is not just about getting enough protein anymore. It is about securing nutrient-dense foods that will keep you going when supply chains start to falter. That brings us to something small but mighty: chia seeds. Chia seeds might seem like a trendy superfood, but they are about to become a serious scarcity issue. Recent reports from major agricultural producers show that droughts in Argentina and Paraguay, two of the world's top chia exporters, have slashed production by over 30% this year. This is already having ripple effects across the market, with wholesale prices jumping by as much as 45% in some regions. The global demand for chia seeds is skyrocketing, not just among health-conscious consumers, but also in the food manufacturing industry. More companies are using them in protein bars, dairy-free yogurts, and plant-based milk alternatives, meaning competition for supply is more intense than ever. And with their rising popularity, that demand is not slowing down anytime soon. Here's why that matters. Chia seeds are one of the best long-term food investments you can make. Unlike many perishable pantry staples, they have an impressive shelf life of up to 5 years, require zero refrigeration, and are packed with essential nutrients. Just 1 tablespoon contains more omega-3s than salmon, more fiber than oats, and more calcium than milk. This makes them an absolute powerhouse for maintaining energy and nutrition when fresh foods are hard to come by. But what really sets them apart is their ability to absorb liquid and expand up to 12 times their size, creating a filling, nutrient-dense meal with minimal ingredients. This means that even a small supply can stretch much further than you might expect, an invaluable trait when grocery store shelves are bare. But here is the catch. Most people do not realize how quickly this superfood is disappearing. The biggest food manufacturers are securing bulk shipments months in advance, leaving less supply for the average consumer. If you are not stocking up now, you might find yourself paying double for a bag by next year or struggling to find them at all. Just last month, some major retailers quietly reduced the shelf space dedicated to chia seeds, replacing them with cheaper, lower-quality alternatives. If this trend continues, it is only a matter of time before they become another hard-to-find pantry staple. So, what can you do? If chia seeds become impossible to find, flax seeds and hemp seeds offer similar nutritional benefits and are still widely available. They are also rich in omega-3s and fiber, making them a great backup option. However, if you see chia seeds on sale, do not hesitate. The window for getting them at reasonable prices is closing fast, and when they are gone, they might not come back anytime soon. Stock up now while you still can, because once shortages hit full force, this tiny seed will become a major asset in any well-prepared pantry. And if you thought chia seed shortages were bad, wait until you hear what's happening with one of the most versatile and essential pantry staples, coconut oil. Most people think of coconut oil as just another cooking fat. But what if I told you that it's about to become one of the hardest to find items on grocery store shelves? Coconut oil isn't just popular in home kitchens. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's used in everything from cooking and baking to skincare, hair products, and even industrial applications. But here's the problem. Global coconut production is struggling to keep up with demand, and the shortages are already hitting. The Philippines, Indonesia, and India produce more than 85% of the world's coconuts, and all three regions have faced severe climate disruptions in the past year. Typhoons in the Philippines wiped out thousands of acres of coconut farms, and extreme heat waves in India have stunted crop growth. The result? A 25% drop in global coconut oil production, leading to price spikes of nearly 40% in some markets. Major importers in the United States and Europe are already reporting delays in shipments, and food manufacturers are quietly adjusting recipes to use less coconut oil as supply tightens. Now, here's why this matters for your stockpile. Coconut oil isn't just another pantry staple, it's one of the longest-lasting and most multifunctional oils you can buy. Unlike vegetable or olive oil, which can go rancid in as little as 6 months, high-quality coconut oil can last up to 5 years if stored properly. That makes it an invaluable asset in long-term food storage. But its benefits go far beyond shelf life. Coconut oil is packed with medium-chain triglycerides, or MCTs, which provide a quick energy boost and support brain function, critical in survival situations where every calorie counts. It's also naturally antimicrobial, meaning it can help prevent bacterial growth in food and even be used as a makeshift first aid remedy for minor cuts and burns. And here's something most people don't realize. It has one of the highest smoke points of any natural oil, making it ideal for cooking and frying when you need a reliable, stable fat source. The bad news? Grocery stores are already limiting how much you can buy. In some areas, bulk coconut oil is completely out of stock, and when it is available, prices are climbing fast. If you see it at a decent price, grab it while you can, because experts predict another wave of shortages by early next year. But if you can't find coconut oil, don't panic. There are alternatives. Avocado oil and ghee have similar high smoke points and long shelf lives, though they're also facing supply issues of their own. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, start stocking up now before coconut oil becomes another pantry item that's impossible to find. And if you think this is bad, wait until you hear about the next item, because this one could completely change how you prepare for the months ahead. If you've been paying attention to food prices lately, you might have noticed something strange. Certain pantry staples are quietly vanishing while others are skyrocketing in cost. And here we are. Item number 7. The one I warned you about at the beginning of this video. This isn't just disappearing, it's quietly slipping under the radar while prices skyrocket. By the time most people realize what's happening, it will already be too late. I'm talking about dried fruit, one of the most nutrient-dense, long-term storage essentials, now facing some of the biggest supply chain disruptions in years. While most people focus on fresh produce shortages, the dried fruit market is being hit even harder, and the signs are everywhere. Here's why this is happening. Global fruit production has been in crisis for years, and it's only getting worse. California, which produces nearly 80% of the dried raisins, apricots, and prunes in the United States, has been devastated by droughts, wildfires, and floods, creating massive swings in harvest yields. In 2023, the state's raisin crop shrank by 26%, and this year's numbers look even worse. Meanwhile, Turkey, one of the world's largest exporters of dried figs and apricots, has suffered catastrophic crop failures due to late season frosts, cutting their expected exports by nearly 30%. And that's just the beginning. Global logistics issues and shipping costs are making it harder than ever to get dried fruit onto store shelves, meaning even if there's product available, getting it where it needs to go is another challenge altogether. But here's what most people don't realize. Even if you can still find dried fruit, the quality is already declining. Shrinkflation is in full effect, with brands quietly reducing package sizes while keeping prices the same, or worse, increasing them. In some cases, companies are sourcing lower quality fruit, meaning the texture and flavor of what you buy today might not be the same 6 months from now. If you've noticed dried apricots looking paler, raisins feeling drier, or dates seeming less plump, that's not your imagination. It's a direct result of supply shortages, forcing manufacturers to cut corners. If you want to lock in the best quality and price, the time to buy is now. High-demand varieties like raisins, apricots, and figs are already showing signs of price spikes, and once winter hits, availability is expected to drop even further. The best strategy? First, if you see dried fruit at reasonable prices, grab it. Second, consider freeze-dried fruit. It retains more nutrients, has a longer shelf life, and is less affected by market fluctuations. And if you really want to future-proof your pantry, get a dehydrator and dry fresh fruit yourself. It's a small investment that could save you a fortune in the long run. Now, if you think dried fruit shortages are bad, just wait. Because this next item isn't just disappearing, it's turning into a luxury item before our eyes. And once you hear the numbers behind this one, you'll understand why you need to stock up immediately. If you've been focusing on stocking up on shelf-stable oils like coconut oil, there's another essential category you can't afford to overlook: long-lasting protein. But not just any protein. We're talking about one of the most convenient, nutrient-dense, and reliable options for long-term storage: dehydrated meat. If you've ever relied on jerky as an emergency snack or travel staple, brace yourself because this pantry essential is about to get a lot harder to find. Here's the situation. The U.S. cattle industry has been struggling for years due to extreme drought conditions across major beef-producing states like Texas and Oklahoma. In 2023, cattle ranchers were forced to cull their herds at record levels due to skyrocketing feed costs and water shortages. That temporary oversupply kept beef prices lower than expected, but now we're seeing the fallout. The national cattle inventory is at its lowest level in over 70 years, and beef production is expected to drop by nearly 6% in 2025, the biggest decline in decades. What does that mean for jerky? Less beef, higher prices, and major shortages. But it's not just beef jerky. Poultry and pork-based jerky products are also seeing massive price hikes as bird flu outbreaks and supply chain disruptions hit those industries too. The American Association of Meat Processors has already warned that labor shortages in processing plants are slowing down production, further tightening supply. And here's what most people don't realize. When fresh meat supplies shrink, demand for shelf-stable proteins like jerky explodes. That's exactly what happened in 2020, and we're seeing the same patterns emerge again. If you want to stock up, now is the time. The price of jerky has already risen by over 15% in the past year, and it's expected to keep climbing. But here's the good news. There are still workarounds. First, buy in bulk while prices are still somewhat reasonable. Warehouse stores often have better deals than grocery chains. Second, if you have access to a dehydrator, consider making your own jerky with fresh meat while it's still available. It's cheaper, healthier, and lets you control the ingredients. And if you can't find traditional beef jerky, look for alternatives like turkey, salmon, or even plant-based jerky, which hasn't been hit as hard by supply shortages yet. Now, if you thought jerky shortages were bad, just wait. Because when we wrap this up, I'll tell you the 3 biggest takeaways from all of these food shortages and what they mean for the months ahead. Trust me, you'll want to be ready. If you have made it this far, you are already ahead of 90% of people who will be caught off guard when these shortages hit full force. Let's do a quick recap. Canned pumpkin is about to vanish from store shelves. Buckwheat supplies are collapsing due to geopolitical tensions. Couscous is next in line for massive shortages. And canned sardines are already being restricted in major markets. And that is just the beginning. Chia seeds, coconut oil, dried fruit, and dehydrated meat are all facing supply chain disruptions that will only get worse as we head further into February. If you wait until these items disappear, you will be paying double, or worse, you may not find them at all. Now, imagine looking back in 6 months when prices have skyrocketed and grocery store aisles are looking emptier than ever. Will you be the one scrambling to find last minute alternatives, or will you be sitting comfortably with a well stocked pantry, knowing you took action before the chaos hit? This is not about panic, it is about being prepared. Smart preppers, savvy shoppers, and anyone who wants to stay ahead of supply chain disruptions should be making moves now. And here is something even bigger. If you thought these shortages were bad, just wait until you hear what is happening with major food manufacturers. Some of the biggest brands in the industry are already making drastic changes behind the scenes, and when the public catches on, it might be too late to prepare. That is coming up in next week's video, so make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss it. Look, this channel is not about fear. It is about solutions. Over the past few months, thousands of viewers have been able to get ahead of rising prices, stock up before shortages hit, and even save hundreds of dollars on groceries just by acting on the information in these videos. If you want to be part of a community that stays ahead of the curve and makes smart financial moves, hit that subscribe button now. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you already seen any of these shortages in your area? Are prices climbing at your local grocery store? Drop a comment below and let's help each other stay ahead of this. The more we share, the better we can prepare. Stay sharp, stay ready, and I will see you in the next one.